Our top story tonight on Gravitas is about Russia. Its advance is gathering momentum again. Vladimir Putin could be on the brink of a major victory over Ukraine as Russian troops move closer towards the gateway to Donetsk and towards central Ukraine. We are talking about the strategic Ukrainian town of Pokrovsk. And that's not even all. Russia has warned it will retaliate to Ukraine's recent attack on a southern airfield with US-supplied missiles. On Wednesday, the US warned that Russia might soon use the Oreshnik missile against Ukraine again. Will the United States be able to stop Russia's Oreshnik? We get to that in just a bit. First, Russian forces have made significant tactical advances and are now just 3 kilometers from the southern outskirts of Pokrovsk. But why is the city so crucial? Why has it become such a crucial flashpoint in the war? And what is its importance for Russia? Before we go any further, have a look at these visuals we're about to show you. You can hear the sound of heavy fighting on the outskirts of Pokrovsk. According to Ukraine's deep state, which maps the front lines using open sources, Russia is just 3 kilometers away from entering the crucial city. In a televised address, Ukrainian military conceded that 2 of their positions in Pokrovsk had been destroyed in prolonged battles with Russia. For Ukraine, Pokrovsk is extremely important. The city, located in the eastern Donetsk region, lies on key road and rail networks used by the Ukrainian military to supply and reinforce troops on the eastern front line, as well as to evacuate the wounded, like the embattled towns of Chasiv Yar, located 60 kilometers away, and Kostiantynivka in the Donetsk region, located around 55 kilometers away. It also has major geographical importance. It is situated just around 18 kilometers from the boundary of Ukraine's Donetsk and Dnipropetrovsk regions. The city also has a coal mine, which is Ukraine's only domestic coking coal supplier. Losing Pokrovsk to Russian forces would not just make it harder for military operations in eastern Ukraine, but it would also leave other strategic towns vulnerable, such as Chasiv Yar. For Russia, taking control of Pokrovsk will be a major step towards incorporating the entire Donetsk into Russia. Russia can not only severely disrupt Ukrainian supply lines along the eastern front, but also advance towards Dnipro, one of the biggest cities in Ukraine with a population of around 1 million people, located just 180 kilometers away, a mere 2.5-hour journey by car, and take the war to central Ukraine. Meanwhile, the battle is intensifying both on the ground and in the air. On Thursday, Russia warned it will retaliate to Ukraine's recent attack on a southern airfield with US-supplied ATACMS missiles. The Russian President Vladimir Putin, remember, had threatened to launch Russia's new hypersonic ballistic missile Oreshnik at the heart of Kiev if Ukraine continued its missile strikes on Russian soil with US weapons. The Russian Defense Ministry on Wednesday accused Ukraine of using ATACMS missiles to strike an airfield in the port city of Taganrog, located in the southern Rostov region. The Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov on Thursday stated that Russia's response would come, quote-unquote, in a way deemed appropriate. He further made it clear that retaliation would, quote-unquote, definitely follow. The US, remember, only recently gave Ukraine the green light to launch ATACMS missiles at Russian targets after months of requests from Kiev. On Wednesday, the US warned that Russia might soon use Oreshnik missiles against Ukraine again. The question looms, can the US intercept Russia's Oreshnik? Deputy Pentagon Press Secretary Sabrina Singh told reporters that US intelligence cautioned that Russia could deploy the missile in the coming days.
based on an intelligence assessment that it's possible that Russia could use this Oreshnik missile in the coming days.
Meanwhile, the U.S. State Department has approved a $266 million foreign military sales package for Ukraine, a move that is expected to bolster Ukraine's F-16 fighter jets. The package includes weapon software, training equipment, as well as spare and replacement parts for the jets. The announcement, you see, comes just days after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Denmark had transferred a second batch of F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine, further bolstering the country's air defense capabilities. As Ukraine struggles to keep hold of Pokrovsk against an advancing Russian force and the threat of a hypersonic missile attack looms, whether new aid will have consequential impact on the war remains to be seen. As of now, the way things stand, the conflict is showing absolutely no signs of abating, and each strike is only further fueling the volatility. On to some news now from the United States. Did Jill Biden mock Kamala Harris? The reason we ask that is because in a recent speech at the White House, she made a reference to the joy Americans are now feeling, triggering a major question being asked by many. Were her remarks in any way a dig aimed at Vice President Kamala Harris? But why has this question come up? Remember, during her 2024 presidential campaign, Harris had used a similar slogan that in a way went on to define her campaign. Let's just break this down for you. On Wednesday, U.S. President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden were addressing a conference at the White House where they spoke about advancing women's health research. At some point during the speech, she reminded the audience to feel joy now amid the Christmas holidays, to which the audience burst out laughing. Take a look.
Here is peace and light. So I hope that you all feel that sense of, peace and light, and that just for a moment when you leave here today that you feel, a sense of joy. Because I think we all need we all need to feel joy now during this time of the season, during this time.
Speculation aside, Biden herself seemed to have caught on to her comment. However, she clarified further by saying that the attendees are reading into it. Moments later, Jill Biden urged the attendees to take note of the White House decor and feel a sense of joy.
You're all reading into that. Anyway, for decades, for centuries even, at dinner tables and in waiting rooms, in whispered conversations, when we meet our friends for coffee, women have been talking to each other about our health. Isn't that true?
You see, there has been speculation about all being not well between Biden and Harris after Harris succeeded her husband Joe Biden as the presidential nominee, but ultimately lost to Donald Trump, even as the White House has denied the possibility of any private tension between the Biden family and Harris. On Sunday, the Biden duo reportedly ignored the Vice President Harris and her husband Doug Emhoff at an event, which made many to think that all might not be well between the Bidens and Kamala Harris. Meanwhile, on Sunday, taking to Truth Social, President-elect Donald Trump posted a photograph of himself sitting next to Jill Biden to announce a new line of fragrances. He used the caption, "A fragrance your enemies cannot resist." The seemingly friendly exchange between the duo on December 7 during the reopening of the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris has led to a flurry of memes online. The recent events have provided a lot of fodder for netizens, with many even asking, who did the Bidens really vote for in the 2024 election? That's what's being asked. What if you checked into a hotel in the US and were served piping hot chai, tea, and lip-smacking samosas right at the hotel lobby? Or that you could browse through some of your favorite channels on television in the guest rooms? Sounds tempting, right? Well, this is reality now, as in a bid to attract more Indian tourists, the US travel industry is increasingly tailoring its offerings that suit the tastes and interests and preferences of travelers from India. Let's tell you more. The Asian American Hotel Owners Association, whose members own 60% of US hotels, noting that properties are increasingly adapting to Indian tastes and styles. Why is that? As the United States is seeing a surge in Indian tourists, as domestic leisure spending falters, and East Asian visitor numbers remain below pre-pandemic levels. According to the U.S. National Trade and Tourism Office, nearly 1.9 million Indian tourists visited the U.S. in the first 10 months of 2024, a 48% increase as compared to 2019. This rise was fueled by a 50% jump in business visas and a 43.5% rise in leisure travel visas. With India's expanding middle class, higher travel budgets, and a 42% boost in flight capacity between India and the US, Indian travelers are filling the gap left by a decline in tourists from China, Japan, and South Korea. While Indian tourists are on the rise, East Asian visitors to the US have dropped significantly. In 2024, visitor numbers from China fell by 44.5%, from Japan by 50.8%, and from South Korea by 23.9% compared to 2019 levels. Wealthy East Asian travelers are opting for regional destinations like Southeast Asia instead of long-haul trips to the US. Meanwhile, European visitors are returning slowly, but numbers from key markets like the UK, Germany, France are still below pre-pandemic levels. This has left US travel companies like Hilton and Airbnb facing weaker revenues as domestic travel also slows down. Indian tourists are helping revive the US travel industry by exploring a wider range of destinations and staying in budget and mid-scale hotels. Travel firm WION reported a 50% jump in US bookings by Indian travelers in 2024, tripling pre-pandemic levels. Airbnb, for that matter, has also seen a 45% rise in nights booked by Indians. Industry experts predict this trend will continue into 2025, driven by a younger, experience-driven Indian audience.